Happy Wednesday, everyone. Just a few things before we start with chapter 5 of our story today. Tomorrow, we were scheduled to have our annual Great Shakeout Earthquake drill at school. We won't be at school, but since we're having a lot of earthquakes, I think it would be a great suggestion for everybody to go to, I think it's shakeout.org/Utah, or you can just Google Great Shakeout Utah. Go to that website and look at some of the resources and videos that are available. And just remember those key things that we're practicing every year when we do these drills. We need to remember drop, cover, hold on. Try to get underneath something. Try to make sure your neck and head are covered either by the object you're under or covering with your arm to protect and hold on. Whatever object you get underneath is likely to move around while the earthquake is happening. So you want to hold on to that and move with it so that you can stay safe. There's lots of other tips and things you can practice at home with your family. There's resources for putting together an emergency kit, an emergency bag to help you prepare. All kinds of great information. I really recommend that tomorrow, since it would have been our day to have our drill, and it's a national participation for earthquake preparedness, get together with your family, do some earthquake practice. It'll help everybody feel a little more confident when we feel the shaking that's been happening lately. The other thing I wanted to mention is students, remember that we should be trying to aim for, if you're an upper grade 3 through 6th grade student, try to aim for getting about 4 hours a day of school work in, maybe either getting online to Teams, participating with your class. Lower grades, K through 2, shoot for getting in 3 hours. That includes reading books, that includes cooking with your parents, that includes all kinds of activities that will help keep your mind fresh and learning. So make sure you're trying to get some learning time in every day, and try to check in with your teacher on Class Dojo or Teams as often as you can so you can get updates of information that you need to be having. We're still doing school even though we can't be in the building together. Okay, so chapter 5 of Morning Girl. We're going back to Morning Girl's story today. The water is never still enough. Just like when I can almost see my face, when my eyes and my nose and my mouth are about to settle into a picture I can remember. A fish rises for air, or a leaf drops to the surface of the pond, or Starboy tosses a pebble into my reflection, and I break into shining pieces. It makes no sense to him that I'm curious about what people see when they look at me. They see you, he said, as if that answered my question. We were searching for ripe fruit on the trees behind our house. But what is me? I asked him. I wouldn't recognize myself unless I was sitting on the bottom of a quiet pool, looking up at me looking down. You are you. He lost his patience and walked away to find his friend Red Feathers. But what did you mean? I knew my hands very well. I studied them when I trimmed my nails with the rough edge of a broken shell, making them smooth and flat. I could spread my fingers and press them into wet sand and see the shape they leave. Once I tried to do that with my head, but all I got was a big shallow hole and dirty hair. I knew the front of my body, the bottoms of my feet. I knew the color of my arms, tan as the inside of a yam after the air has dried it, and if I stretched my tongue, I could see its pink tip. Tell me about my face, I asked Mother one day when we were walking along the beach. She stopped, turned to me in confusion. What about your face? Is it long and wrinkled like grandmother's? Or round as a coconut like Starboy's? Are my eyes wise like yours? Or ready to laugh like father's? Are my teeth as crooked as the trunks of palm trees? Mother cocked her head to the side and made lines in her forehead. I don't think I've ever looked at you that way, she said. To me, you've always been yourself, different from anyone else. But I want to know, I begged her. Mother nodded. I remember that feeling. Try this. She took my hand and guided it to my neck. Touch, she told me, very softly. No, close your eyes and think with your fingers. Now compare. She placed my other hand on her face, the face I knew better than any other. I traced the line of her chin. Mine was smaller, pointier. I followed her lips with one thumb, my own with the other. Hers seemed fuller. Your mouth is wider, I cried, unhappy with myself. That's because I'm smiling, morning girl. And suddenly my mouth was wide too, and my cheeks were hills on either side. Next I found the lashes of our eyes and moved above them. Even without watching, I could see the curved shape of Mom's dark brows. They made her look surprised at everything, surprised and delighted. Mine are straight, I said, like your grandfather's. He had always looked tired. I liked surprised better. Now here. Mother cupped my fingers around the tip of my nose. I could feel the breath rush in and out of my nostrils. I could smell the fruit I had picked with Starboy. Finally, we moved to the ears, and in the dark they were as delicate and complicated as the inside of a spiral shell, but soft. Our ears are the same, I told Mother, and she felt with her own hand, testing and probing every part. You're right. She sounded as pleased as I was. I opened my eyes and memorized her ears. At least that part I would now recognize. Did this help you? She asked me. Do you know Morning Girl any better? Oh, yes, I said. She has a chin like a starfish and brows like the white clouds on the horizon. Her nose works. Her cheeks swell into mountains when she smiles. The only thing right about her is her ears. Mother covered her mouth the way she does when she laughs and doesn't want anyone to stare. That's my Morning Girl, she said. That's her exactly. The next day, as I was getting up and Starboy was about to go to sleep on his mat, I leaned close to him. What does my chin look like? I demanded. He blinked, frowned, made his eyes small while he decided. A starfish, he finally said. I was very worried until I saw he was making a joke. I heard Mother telling Father, he confessed, when I pinched him. But I don't know. He rubbed his arm, showed me where I had made it turn red. To me it looks more like the end of a rock that juts out into the ocean near the north end of the island, the one they call the giant digging stick. You don't have to be curious about your face, I whispered. All you have to do is wait for jellyfish to float on shore and get stranded when the tide leaves. Sometimes I see one and I think it's you buried in the sand up to your neck. When I went outside, Father was sitting on a log fixing a shark's tooth to use as the hook at the end of a fishing line. Who is this? He asked the lance. Who is this with my wife's ears stuck on the side of her head? You laugh at me too, I said. But why is it so strange I want to know what everybody else already knows? Why should my own face be a secret from me? There is a way, Father said kindly, and motioned me to stand beside him. He knelt down so that we would be the same size. Look into my eyes, he said. What do you see? I leaned forward, stared into the dark brown circles, and it was like diving into the deepest pools. Suddenly, I saw two tiny girls looking back. Their faces were clear, their brows straight as canoes, and their chins as narrow and clean as lemons. As I watched, their mouths grew wide. They were pretty. Who are they? I couldn't take my eyes off those strange new faces. Who are these pretty girls who live inside your head? They're the answer to your question, Father said, and they are always here when you need to find them. Okay, everybody have a great night, and I hope to see you again this way tomorrow. Oh, and by the way, I think you should watch the progression of Miss Kumik's crazy hair and see how different it looks every day as it gets longer and crazier. Okay, I miss you all and wish you were at school. Good night.